everybody, it is Dr. Tim Harrigan with Synergy Wellness and Synergy Wellness Formulas. I want to get on here to kind of announce and educate on something we've gotten involved in. I've actually partnered with some incredible humans. They're actually scientists, researchers are from India, to create products that will impact human health as we know it. And I realize that's a big claim, but if you knew what we knew, you would understand. And I'm going to try to get you to that point here soon with just one of the things that we'll be talking about out of the many, many things. Okay. So it's a biotech company that we've partnered with. They were established in 1995. They have over 228 clinical studies, 70 global certifications. Basically, we're working from soil and seed to a proprietary plant-based nutritional formulas that will literally impact human health. So when you understand what we're talking about, you'll get as excited as we are because the whole world needs this stuff that we are going to be creating with this company. So they're plant-based extracts targeted for health, longevity. The one I'm going to be talking about is more about hormones, testosterone, inhibiting some of the bad things that testosterone can convert to in the body, such as estrogen, as well as DHT, which is why men have, this isn't male pattern baldness, but this is why men lose their hair as they age. So the first thing we'll be introducing to the world is a testosterone booster, so to speak. I don't like to say booster, but that's essentially we're getting the body to utilize its own testosterone better so that it's kind of like getting testosterone without giving it to you, because when you give the body something, it shuts down its own production because your brain says we have plenty. And so whether it's hormone replacement therapy, TRT, or any of these other, testosterone boosters, if you give the body something it produces, your brain says, I have enough of that thing. Your brain shuts down the organs that produce that thing. And those organs literally get weaker faster over time now. And so good luck ever getting off of that thing that your body produces, whether it's melatonin, whether it's testosterone, whether it's estrogen or progesterone, or stomach acid or digestive enzymes, things like that. We rarely want to supplement with something the body produces. There are some exceptions to that rule, not very many though, okay? So we have all the safety and toxicity studies, the efficacy studies on this stuff, clinical studies showing everything you could ever ask about, and then certifications, more than I've ever seen, honestly, for particular products and nutritional formulas. So we're excited to launch that. Let me share my screen now and let's get into this. So as you guys know, or may not know, we are actually experiencing a low testosterone epidemic in the US, and every 10 years it's been going down significantly. And so now we have some of the lowest testosterone levels as a society that we've ever seen. So overall, 30-year-olds have less testosterone than they did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But now as we age, we're losing it even faster, okay? So this company is incredible. Basically, what they have discovered in these arid climates, basically in India, where nothing really grows because it's so hot, it's such a harsh environment, these fenugreek plants they've discovered are incredible powerhouses that essentially have learned to create these secondary metabolites, these molecules, so to speak, that protect these plants under the heat, the pests, the funguses, all these harsh environmental things. Imagine a really cool powerhouse plant, superfood, that has learned to create other molecules inside of it that help protect it in times of stress. That's what they've discovered. Now, if we isolate these different things from these plants, imagine if one of them helps with testosterone, maybe another one helps with RA or autoimmune type issues or inflammation, but it's a plant-based therapeutic essentially that will literally every one of our households need this, whether you're thinking about your spouse as you listen to this presentation, or your neighbors, or yourself, or you know a group of people that need some of these formulas or ingredients to share with them. It's pretty cool that nature has created these molecules under stress, and now we give them to humans that are under stress. It actually affects the human body pretty miraculously, as you'll see here, okay? So testosterone is just, it's low overall. We have an epidemic where all of the environment has essentially lowered our testosterone. We have the lowest sperm counts ever, low testosterone, other hormone issues. Cancer is the #2 killer. We know there's some hormone connections there. It's just insane. And so people are looking for things to help this. It's one of the fastest growing sectors in healthcare, is more like the hormone, testosterone, low energy. Depression is related to testosterone, muscle building, of course, energy, drive, all those things, even sleep. So it's a big problem. And so why are testosterone levels decreasing? Well, you can go online and find all kinds of different articles, and you'll see lots of theories, and they're trying to sell their TRT or other hormone therapies or whatever, but we found something much better that's not a synthetic, that doesn't take away from the body. It only improves what your body's doing. And so you can see that every human potentially needs this because it is an epidemic. So Cleveland Clinic has lots of articles on this, but we call it a T epidemic. Okay, so all of the variables of aging, we're starting out low. Even at a lower age, we have low testosterone because of the environment, because of metabolic syndrome, because of stress, because of medications. And there's even a COVID-19 correlation because it affects the Leydig cells of the testicles, essentially. So COVID affects the lungs, heart, and some other things. And so low T, actually, you have more complications with some of these infections as well. So a big problem too is estrogen. There's so many xenoestrogens or other environmental estrogens in our tap water. Guys, we're basically all taking birth control without knowing it, whether it's hormones in our meats or the water or our chemicals that we could put on our skin, personal care products. A lot of them have estrogen in them. People don't realize they don't have to put that on the label. But anytime you see like skin firming, age-defying things that you put on your skin, more than likely it actually has estrogen in it. Can you believe that? So we should all know about this, yet there's laws that, allow people to not have to disclose that information. So signs of low testosterone: stroke, heart disease, increased fat tissue, virtually everything you could think of. Basically, hormones are the feel-good molecules in our body. If you're in a bad mood, if you're whatever it is, you guys, usually you can tie it back to hormone imbalances, especially low testosterone. So testosterone, that's the first molecule we're going to talk about in this series of the formulas we're creating with this company. And we're going to go over this. So you can see virtually every certification you could ever think of for safety, for efficacy, the clinical trials, we're going to go over all that stuff. But essentially it increases bioavailable testosterone, free testosterone, and and total testosterone by basically binding to an irreversible bond. So most of us produce all of our testosterone, or most of it, in the morning between 6 and 8 a.m. typically. So when you produce that testosterone, let's say I start with a number of 100. I'm just making up numbers just to give you an idea, so you can visualize this in your brain. So let's say I produce 100 every morning. I wake up, produce 100, wake up, produce 100. Every morning that happens. Over time, though, people are producing less, right? So in 5 years from now, I might only produce 90, 10 years after that, only 85, whatever it is. So our testosterone is decreasing over time, but we produce a certain amount every morning regardless. Let's call it 100, okay? So half of that, or let's say a lot of it, a percentage, goes to this irreversible bond. So let's say I start with 100, 50 of it goes and binds to something that's irreversible, though. It's gone. So now I really only have 50 left for the day. As the day goes on, you lose that testosterone, right? I might have to do 3 cups of coffee in the morning. I might hit that crash in the early afternoon. My brain, I might have foggy brain. I might feel depression type symptoms or something like that. So low testosterone affects virtually everything about how you feel. So if I produce 100, but only have 50 to access to use, I don't like that. What if we created a drug, or even better yet, a plant isolate that we take at night before you go to bed? It goes in while you're sleeping, it goes and binds to that irreversible bond, where usually you would have lost 50 of that 100, right? So let's say I take this thing at night, though. In the morning, when I produce my 100, and the thing I took the night before binds to that irreversible bond, now that 100 doesn't have to go bind to it now. Now I'm left with maybe 100 or a little bit less versus the 50 that I give you the example of. How incredible would that be? So essentially, you're just utilizing your own testosterone better. But what if that drug, or better yet, a plant isolate, a plant molecule, inhibited testosterone being converted to estrogen, which isn't good, right? There's certain drugs that are actually sold just to inhibit that one process. And what if it also prevented testosterone from converting to DHT, dihydrotestosterone, which essentially is what creates the male pattern baldness, prostate issues, right? Estrogen conversion maybe can affect a female's breast, things like that. So there's drugs that literally inhibit testosterone to estrogen that you have to buy that inhibit just that one process. And there's also drugs that inhibit the testosterone to DHT conversion as well. So imagine now we had a plant molecule that not only increases my free and total testosterone, and it utilizes my own testosterone better every morning, but also inhibits this estrogen and DHT conversion. How incredible would that be? Well, that's what we're talking about here. So cholesterol. I'm going to go over a little bit about cholesterol because it is foundational. We've kind of been lied to in the mainstream about cholesterol being the enemy. It clogs our arteries. It's bad. We want low cholesterol all the time, or we're going to die of a heart attack, whatever the narrative is. It has really been not necessarily true. You can look up some of those studies. You can reach out for some studies from me, but cholesterol is actually essential in our body. It's not just important, it's essential. It's the foundation for hormones. It is what's in our skin that helps the sun convert my cholesterol in my skin to vitamin D in my body, right? So we know vitamin D affects our immune system. It affects cancers and things like that. So cholesterol, we start blocking it, you affect everything. You affect the brain, you affect testosterone. So I just want to show you this chart here to give you an idea. Cholesterol is converted to these things, okay? It's then converted to cortisol or androstenedione, right? And then we have testosterone. Well, imagine if those androgens or testosterone converts to estradiol. We don't really like that. So that's what those inhibitors that I mentioned are actually going to do. But I wanted to show you this chart to show you how important cholesterol is in all of this conversation. So if somebody's on a statin, or they're trying to lower their cholesterol all the time, you probably have hormone issues, to be honest. So it's just not a great thing to do. It's part of our chemistry. It's essential again. So testosterone, that's the molecule I'm going to be talking about. You can see all of this here. Essentially what it does is it's going to improve the effectiveness of the testosterone by binding to what's called sex hormone binding globulin. That's that irreversible bond that I mentioned. Then we have the effect of what's called glycosides that this produces that helps with vasodilation in a male, right, for sex organs, right? So it also inhibits the 5-alpha reductase, which is the molecule that I mentioned, the aromatase, which is the DHT conversion and the estrogen conversion. So we're getting the inhibition of those processes, which is two separate drugs. Those are categories of drugs that people buy, as well as improving steroidogenesis in the body and spermatogenesis in the body. That's what this stuff does. How cool is that? So testosterone. Think of the irreversible bond. That's what I mentioned earlier. That's the SHBG here. Okay. So sex hormone binding globulin is where a lot of testosterone goes and it binds to it, and it's just not used anymore. It's not bioavailable. It's not free. It's not available for my body to use it. And then we have about 38% what's called bioavailable or albumin bound. And then we have the free testosterone, which is about 2 to 3%. So these furosemide is one of the main glycosides in this product. That's really kind of the chemical name of this formula, but we call it TestoSurge. So again, it's going to bind to the SHBG. It's going to allow us to have more albumin and free testosterone to use throughout the day. So it's a testosterone booster, so to speak. So now we have that conversion I mentioned to you of testosterone to DHT that you can see here, and testosterone to estradiol, right? So estrogen. So we don't want that. We don't want testosterone to convert to DHT. We don't want it to convert to estrogens or estradiol. We would rather inhibit that. Well, that's what this product does as well. It actually it improves the inhibition of what's called 5-alpha reductase to inhibit DHT, which again can create prostate issues, male pattern baldness. And it also inhibits aromatase, which creates the estrogens from testosterone. So it not only increases our total and free testosterone, but remember, it inhibits this DHT and estradiol conversion of our testosterone. So we can give you all the studies on this, you guys. I don't want to bore you with a lot of that, but you can see that everything has been proven up to this point. So 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, these are things that people buy separately. Like I said, it's a separate category of drugs that helps. Typically, it's prescribed for enlarged prostates, pattern hair loss, things like that, excessive hair growth in women. So this is not a male conversation either, by the way. This is a male and female conversation. Most of us think testosterone is for males. Well, women have it as well. And if you have a woman that has, a tendency for depression or not building muscle or not losing weight or metabolic syndrome or foggy brain or whatever, it's typically low testosterone as well. So it's a problem in both men and females. So don't think as you're watching all this that it's just a male problem. It's not. So testosterone, as you can see, can be converted through 5-alpha reductase into DHT, which can create hair loss, prostate issues, etc. So imagine if we inhibit that 5-alpha reductase. So here's another conversion. You can actually see the chemistry of testosterone being converted to DHT. We don't want that. So we can inhibit that. And again, this is a whole class of drugs. Two main ones are finasteride and dutasteride to inhibit this. And people use it typically, they prescribe it for prostate issues and the hair loss. So aromatase. So it's an enzyme that's basically part of the estrogen conversion from testosterone. So aromatase converts the testosterone to estrogen. We don't like that, of course. So people buy a separate category of drugs that are designed to inhibit this, called aromatase inhibitors. Okay, some of them you've heard of. You can go look these up. Tamoxifen is a drug that does that. There's a lot of different ones, but that's the goal with these category of drugs, to inhibit testosterone being converted to the estrogen. So why is that important with females especially? Well, we know that these aromatase conversions can affect tumor growth, which obviously is not a good thing. So again, we can give you the studies showing all of these things that we're talking about here. Just reach out to us. We can send those to you. I wanted to put this in here. It's a little more advanced to show you the cholesterol importance. You can see that if we go all the way down here to the bottom, you'll see the testosterone and the estradiol. So we don't want androsterone or testosterone to convert to the estrone or estradiol. That's where the aromatase inhibitor comes in. As you can see on the chart there, we want to inhibit that process, and that's what TestoSurge has been proven to do. Now, also, we want to inhibit the testosterone to DHT, which is a 5-alpha reductase molecule. In the TestoSurge, we have the 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, as well as, again, increasing my free testosterone and total testosterone. So it also improves steroidogenesis, which is basically mainly done in the testes in males. But again, I want to show you this because it shows you how important cholesterol is in this process. It happens in the Leydig cells in males, and it's an important thing to understand. These glycosides from fenugreek affect and improve steroidogenesis. Again, we can show you those studies. That's mainly due to the apigenin or luteolin, which will increase or boost the overall steroidogenesis of the human body safely, is the key word there. So again, cholesterol converts to all these things. We want to prevent these conversions of estrone or estradiol, which is the aromatase inhibitors, and also the 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. So a little bit about statins, a little bit about cholesterol. This is an interesting topic because we've all been led to believe that high cholesterol causes heart attacks. Well, heart disease is the #1 killer, first of all. Even with the millions and millions and millions of statins on the market, heart disease is still the #1 killer in the US. So statin medications actually impair the function of all sterols. That's this conversation about testosterone, including cholesterol, of course, that's why we take it, and vitamin D. I mentioned that the sun hits our skin and converts the cholesterol in our skin to vitamin D in our body, which we all know is very important. It's critical to our health, is a high, healthy vitamin D level. It affects all sex hormones, cortisol, which is adrenal stress-related stuff, and the dolichols, which are involved in keeping the membranes inside your cells healthy. How many of you guys think cholesterol is actually important? How many of you guys think statins potentially are throwing off literally all of these different procedures in our body, which cause 100 other problems? So a study finds that men with erectile dysfunction on statin therapy are twice as likely to have low testosterone. If they weren't low to begin with, right, that'll affect it even more. And then we have a study showing the spermatogenesis. So testosterone increases the spermatogenesis of a male. Did you know that we have an epidemic of low sperm counts now? This has been a problem every decade. It gets worse. We haven't seen these numbers as low as they are now in today's world. We've never seen them this low. It's a crazy problem with all the environmental factors, as we talked about. So it actually affects that as well. Vasodilation. So there's something else that testosterone does. We all know now that it improves our total testosterone, our free testosterone, our bioavailable testosterone, so that I can use it and have better brain health and better function, better energy, while also inhibiting testosterone to estrogen conversion, which is bad. It inhibits that as well, so we get that benefit, as well as the testosterone to DHT. It also inhibits that, so we get that benefit. Here's another benefit. It also inhibits PDE5, which is basically what results in vasodilation or constriction of the penis. Okay, so erectile dysfunction, it's one of the fastest growing markets. It's an embarrassing topic for most men. It's not something that's really talked about a whole lot because it's embarrassing, but it is a bigger problem than you could ever even conceive. And so this helps with the PDE5 inhibition, which also helps that issue. It improves penile blood flow as well as increased oxygen supply. That's just a health thing, right? This isn't about sex. This isn't about that. This is a health thing. If you're not healthy, our body cannot function naturally. It's not healthy to have this problem, and everybody's searching for solutions, okay? So the clinical study, #1, basically significant impact on body fat percentage, total and bioavailable testosterone. We can get you a copy of this study. The study #2, the clinical study, is significant increase in free, bioavailable, and again, total testosterone level after 10 hours. Okay, so I can give you that study as well. So where was I? These are the studies, again, just showing that. So again, these aren't claims, these are just studies I'm quoting here. So signs and symptoms of low testosterone. Everything you can think of, like I mentioned, all those other things I've already mentioned, but loss of muscle, low libido, hair loss, thinning of hair, obviously fatigue, chronic fatigue, low energy, depression, low self-esteem. Your brain just can't function properly. That's why we get all of these tendencies as well. So we can measure all that, you guys. The studies have been done. The safety studies have been done as well. Low testosterone is linked to chronic disease. How much chronic disease is running around? All your neighbors, all our family members, they're all sick and tired all the time. Part of it is due to low T. The effects of testosterone, it actually helps collagen growth, your hair, of course, muscle and bone strength. That's why this is not a male-female conversation. This is a human conversation, and it's a big problem. So virtually every certification you can think of, we have on this molecule. Strong Science is basically, it reviews the efficacy of claims. I won't go over all these, but we can give these to you. That I've never seen so many safety studies and certifications on nutraceuticals that we're now partnered up with to create formulas for you guys. It's incredible. It's just, you're going to see some amazing things in the future. So here's the safety studies of the testosterone. So toxicity, mutagenicity studies, basically showing how safe it is. There's no side effects, you guys, from the testosterone. More certifications, okay? And so if you have any questions, let us know. If you want some of those studies, reach out to us. We are completely excited. As you can tell, this is going to be the first molecule we're going to be introducing in some of our formulas that will also be combined with some of our nitric oxide supporters, other blood flow and antioxidant type things. So that's just one ingredient, you guys, that we're going to be putting in some of these formulas that have other effects in the body that you will see nowhere else in the world. This is really exciting. I'm actually going to India soon to actually visit the farms and meet some of the more of the scientists and people that are behind some of this stuff, because we met this company, we met these gentlemen that are incredible human beings. I don't think they understand what they have. I don't think they understand how the world, especially America, desperately needs these molecules. We are sicker than we've ever been. Our lifespan is getting worse for the first time in 100 years. Our kids will not outlive us as parents. Heart disease is the #1 killer. Cancer is #2. Medical intervention is the 3rd cause of death. Medications is the 4th. People are sick and tired. So we want to get these out to everybody we know to help our energy. If I don't have energy, I can't help the people around me. I can't serve my family. It's a big problem. So reach out to us, you guys. This is very exciting. Info at Sin Wellness if you want some of those studies, and let us know if you have any other questions. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.